Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to the start of the 2020 BNL Karting Series season, the 13th year thereof, having been inaugurated back in 2008. We are here at the home of champions, Karting Genk in Belgium, for what is going to be a fantastic kick-off. And by that I mean it is a one-off event this weekend. We go into timed qualifying very, very shortly with the first of 6 classes, all powered by Rotax itself. Micro, Mini, Junior, Senior, DD2 and DD2 Masters, with the business end taking place tomorrow on Sunday, March the 8th. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, the official BNL Karting Series commentator, and tomorrow I will be joined by our man in the pit lane, Ben van der Stukke, as we will get the lowdown on what's been happening out on track and also speaking with some of the drivers post some of the races. We have around 150 drivers here from around 16 different nationalities to compete for 6 coveted tickets for the 2020 Rotax Max Challenge International Trophy at Le Mans, which is being held between the 28th of July and the 1st of August. Those tickets will go to our weekend winners. And at the end of the weekend result, we will crown our kick-off champions for 2020 and give some lucky individuals a chance to race at an event that had over 300 drivers from a multitude of different nationalities that will head there again this coming late July. We're live, not just on the official Camp Company GmbH YouTube channel, also the official Rotax radio channel through Downforce Radio. But what's more, we have an extra little surprise. We mentioned this morning that we would be broadcasting live on the official BNL Karting Series Facebook page. We're doing that right now as qualifying for Micromax is underway, with 11 different drivers from 6 different nationalities, the biggest contingent being of the Netherlands. So 5-minute qualifying sessions to negotiate the 1,360 metre 12-turn circuit here at the home of champions, as this will decide some of the action that will take place from around 9:45 local time tomorrow morning, as the drivers now will be on their sighting lap before they get to knuckle down and go for broke to see where they end up for the first of 2 races tomorrow, with the top 5 drivers after the weekend results heading onto the podium in Micromax, Minimax, and then we'll have the top 3 in the respective 4 other categories. And Mies Houben from the Netherlands is the first that will break the timing beam to go on to a proper flying lap here, followed by Maximov, Jake Menton, Dean Hugendorn, who goes initially to the top of the timesheets with a 1 minute 8.080. Houben in second, Ruyen in third, Karel Stout, who put up a great work rate in Campillos for the Rotax Max Challenge Winter Cup just a couple of weeks ago at Circuito Karting Campillos. And we've also got the Winter Cup champion here from Great Britain, Dan Holland Racing's Scott Marsh, who is wanting, I think, to get that ticket to Le Mans, but there are 10 other drivers looking to do so. Between the top 4, from Hugendorn, who has provisional pole at the moment with around 2 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock remaining, leads Vandenberg in the 29, Houben in the 8, Ruyen in the 3, and Karel Stout rounding out the top 5, separated by 2.2 seconds thus far, with Hugendorn again going faster than anybody. Well, Pappenberg, that's Tom Pappenberg in the 48 from the Netherlands, also setting the same first sector time. As Hugendorn goes quicker still, a 1 minute 4.420, but then Pappenberg jumps up into provisional top spot at the minute with a 1 minute 4.124, followed closely by Karel Stout in the 33. Who's just over 0.2 of a second adrift. Then it's Hugendorn, Marsh. Then we've got Jake Menton, Mick Vandenberg in the 29, rounding out the top 6, all separated by just over half a second. We're coming into the last couple of minutes of this session, as it looks like there has been a change at the 2 leading the way. Scott Marsh looks to be 4th out on the circuit in the minute. So it looks like it was Hooben that was leading, but now I think that could be Dean Hoogendoorn from the Netherlands with Stampex Motorsports running on the Kart Republic chassis, which is the case as we go into the last 90 seconds or so, as with Royen being followed by Marsh in close proximity. So another lap is completed. Hoogendoorn goes sub 1 minute 3.5, and Pappenberg in the 48 is just 89 thousandths adrift as Scott Marsh looks to get ahead of the 4-kart train that he was second in line of just a moment ago, just behind Van Rooyen from the Netherlands, with the top 9 separated by just over 9/10 of a second. The number 30 of Boris Maximov from the Netherlands rounding out the top 9. Eric Paulsen, I think, has just completed another lap and has done a 1 minute 4.657, putting the top 10 1.2 seconds adrift of each other. So when they complete this lap, as Zen Rudenberg has literally made hay whilst, I would say whilst the sun's still shining. We've had dry conditions pretty much all day, apart from this morning when the track was pretty greasy. But now the speed is coming to the drivers, as we'll find out very shortly how much quicker Hoogendoorn goes. He goes 1 minute 2.972, and the timing screens change quicker than I can glance at it. Tom Pappenberg and Scott Marsh round out the top 3, separated by a fraction under 2/10. And Tion Rodkin in the number 14 rounds out the 11 that are circulating on the circuit. The time has now expired. This time we will get the checkered flag. So Erik Paulsen from Sweden will provisionally finish 10th. All results are provisional, pending any sporting and technical checks post-session, as looks like Hoogendoorn has been putting down the hammer, and he's done a 25.3 in Sector 1, an 18.4 in Sector 2, as the number 98 from the Netherlands comes round the final corner, as there's a bit of bump drafting between, Marsh leading Karl Stout, it looks like, as Hoogendoorn goes and puts in a 1 minute 2.696, and that has pretty much decided it. So Dean Hoogendoorn has had absolutely brilliant pace over the last couple of laps. He did a 1 minute 3.4, a 1 minute 2.9, and has just put in a 1 minute 2.696. That puts the Dutchman ahead of countryman Tom Pappenberg in the number 48 by 0.367 of a second. And then it was a further 2 1/1000ths back to the number 33 of Belgium's Karel Stout, who was just over a tenth quicker than Scott Marsh. So Stout using the bump drafting to absolute perfection on that last flying lap. Scott Marsh rounds out the top 4 ahead of Mies Hooben from the Netherlands. Van Rooyen rounds out the top 5 places. Pretty good showing from the Micro Max competitors. Now, these are rapid fire sessions, 5 minutes apiece. We will have 2 lottery driven groups for qualifying for both junior Rotax and senior Rotax. So there is quite a hefty schedule starting from around 9:45, where we have the first of 3 7-minute plus 1 additional lap heats for junior Rotax at 9:45 local time. The drivers will have a 7-minute warm-up session in the morning to get themselves acclimatised to the conditions. There is a potential threat of rain tomorrow, but we will see what tomorrow brings, because it is another day and it will be race day. We have quite a barrage of both junior and senior Rotax drivers. Junior Rotax, around 43 competitors. The highest representation is the Netherlands with around 17 drivers, 9 different nationalities. Senior Rotax has 40 different competitors with 10 different nationalities, and it is tied between Great Britain, Belgium and the Netherlands at 8 apiece in terms of highest driver or highest country representation. We have 25 DD2 drivers, with Denmark having the most represented of their nation with 7, and DD2 Masters with Germany. They've got 14 drivers. I know that there have been a couple of drivers that ended up coming to the Winter Cup at Campillos in about a couple of weeks ago, and some have, let's just say, come off a bit worse for wear, but they are on the recovery trail, which is good to see. So in DD2 Masters we have 14 drivers, 7 different nationalities, around about 16 different nations represented here today and for the weekend. Now there are those that might be wondering about what's going to be happening in... Hang on a second. Well, in about 4 weeks' time we come back here for the first round of the BNL Karting Series, but then the week after is the first round of the Rotax Max Euro Trophy, where apparently there is a registration in the order of around 170 drivers thus far, with seniors going north of 50. The maximum capacity for the main classes, junior, senior, DD2 and DD2 Masters, is capped at 72. We have also, the Rotax Max Euro Trophy, promoted and organised by Camp Company GmbH and MW Race Consulting, is receiving entries quite significantly, and they have done so since the entry banks were opened on the Sunday as of 2 weeks, yet as of tomorrow. So there is plenty of action to happen throughout the season, but in 4 weeks' time we'll come back here to the Home of Champions for the first of 3 double-header weekends, which will be April 4th and 5th, and then we will head to Karting de Fan for the first weekend of July before we head back here to Karting Genk to conclude the season once more around the second weekend of October. And what's more is that you'll be able to watch, you'll be able to listen all the way through the season here on multiple broadcast platforms. Can I ask for a final call for Oscar Hall, number 380, to head to the stewards immediately? That's driver number 380, Oscar Hall, to the stewards immediately, please. Thank you. So in just over 4 minutes' time, we will have our next set of competitors. Mini-Max. And good to see that there are some drivers that have returned back to the BNL Karting Series. Some who have moved up at least one class, maybe, or maybe even 2, which I'll get onto in a short while. "14 different competitors in this particular occasion. With both the Netherlands and Belgium having 6 drivers representing their country, 4 different nationalities in this particular occasion. Looks like we also have Belarus and Poland here. So again, the Mini-Max drivers will have exactly the same amount of time to put in their best qualifying laps possible. And for those wondering about Micromax, their first final, which will be 14 minutes plus an additional lap, will take place at around 25 past 10 tomorrow morning local time. Minimax will be 25 minutes at 10 minutes to 11 local time. Again, 14 minutes plus an additional lap. That will be the case for them, as well as DD2 and DD2 Masters. So they will have 2 finals each in terms of their race schedule for this weekend, whereas junior Rotax and senior Rotax will end up in there'll be 3 heats, so they're split into 3 groups after qualifying has been decided through the 2 randomly selected lottery groups for this afternoon, which each driver will take part in 2. And then for junior Rotax, we will have a second chance heat just after the lunch break tomorrow afternoon. And Senior Rotax will close out the action at around about 25 to 5 local time tomorrow afternoon. So please feel free to comment on Facebook. I am keeping an eye on what's going on there. Good to see that some people are... we've got quite a few shares already. And around about quite a few likes so far. We're really pleased to be able to bring a new broadcast platform for 2020 throughout the race weekend. A big thank you, first of all, to Karting Genk for, again, as always, welcoming us with open arms and providing us with such a great backdrop and such a fantastic circuit, which has seen quite a few of motorsport's highest performers, mainly current at the moment, including the likes of Jenson Button, Max Verstappen, Andre Lotterer, Stoffel Vandoorne racing for Mercedes EQ Formula E, alongside Nick de Vries. You then got the Van Toor brothers, Laurent and Dries, one driving with Porsche, one driving for Audi. And this is the next step on the Rotax racing ladder. For those that were able to watch the live stream from Sarno last year, which took place at Circuito Internazionale Napoli, a lot of action all the way through the week, which culminated on some great finals on Saturday. So now we get the Minimax drivers out on circuit. So we have the likes of Renaud Franco, Jasper Leiners, Thomas Strauven, Olivier Jonkers. Good to see Len Nys back. Len was Jasper has now actually switched to GKS Lemons Power for 2020. Spoke with his dad Bart earlier on today, and Jasper's getting to grips, but really finding a new home with the team, very stable. Good to see Len Nys coming up from Micro to Mini. Len has recently been competing in Italy, but good to see him back with us here at the BNL Karting Series. Kasper Schurmans, Thiemann Huben, Colin Vasny from Poland, Lawrence Herbos from Belgium, Sem Bollen, Danila Chernega, Mitchell van Dijk, Jens Troyer and Karol Kaminski. 14 drivers, as we're going to find out who will be setting the initial pace. It looks like it's going to be the Netherlands' very own Franco who will set the pace, followed by Jasper Leiners. Franco goes top by just a fraction under a tenth. Len Nys jumps up into third, ahead of Kasper Schurmans, who's exactly 7/10 off of Franco at the moment. So this is the first lap, and now they're going to start pushing quite significantly. So the times will drop. So at the moment, the top four separated by exactly 7/10 of a second. Troyer rounding out the top five is just over a second adrift of Franco, who's currently on provisional pole as we go into the last 180 seconds. So as Franco and Leiners look to be working together, looks like Leiners has got a bit of an advantage here with the slipstream coming out of the final corner, turn 12, as they come across the stripe. As Leiners now takes the top spot provisionally. 1 minute, 0.734 from the young Belgian who's represented Team Belgium for the last 2 years in the grand finals in this particular class. Mitchell van Dijk jumps up into third place. Kasper Schurmans fourth. Troyer, Strauven, Jonkers, Nys, Vasny, Herbots. That's the top 10 at the minute, all separated by just under 1.7 seconds. Looks like Kaminski hasn't set a lap thus far and might not have started the session. The 1:10 from Poland. So 4 drivers under the sub 61 second bracket, but looks like with the way that Leiners is closing on Franco, they've matched each other on sector times, sectors 1 and 2. Van Dijk's gone quickest than anybody, as has Troyer, through Sector 1 at 24.0. Looks like Van Dijk lost out on Sector 2. As I think Kaminski has just started to join. Yep, that is the case. As Lehnertz again goes quicker. Franco just 13 thousandths behind as Kaminski is actually using some great spatial awareness. Nyes now up into 5th. And when I tell you that the gap between the top 6 is 0.097 seconds, that's less than a tenth. You thought that the qualifying session in micro was anything to go by. Looks like that Len Nyes has found a bit of pace, as Jasper Lehnertz has got a new lease of life with GKS. Franco, Schormans, Jonkers, Nyes, Strauven rounds out the top 6. So it's 3 100ths between Franco and Nyes. And that's from 2nd and 5th respectively. As we go into the last 60 seconds, Renaud Franco from the Netherlands is now going to come and cross the line first ahead of Jasper Lehnertz. And Franco returns the favour. But then Schormans goes sub 60. Casper Schormans has just put in a 59.915 with around 30 seconds on the clock remaining. And the top 8 rounded off by Len Nyes from Belgium. They are separated by just under 4 tenths as Franco and Lehnertz now have come through into the right-hand sweeper at turn number 8. And Lehnertz looks to be closing as the timer will count down to 0 as they exit turn 9. That's it, time's up. Now the checkered flag will be prepared very, very shortly. And the first one, we'll find out who will have the benchmark as Mitchell Van Dijk went quicker than Schormans by 38 thousandths. Troyer in 2nd, separated by just 0.056 as Franco gets the head down, as does Lehnertz. They cross the line. Lehnertz goes top provisionally. Strauven now takes the top spot. What's Van Dijk, Troyer got in the tank? Van Dijk goes provisional pole as the rest of the field now cross the line. As Chernega will be the last one to record a time by just 0.012 of a second from the Netherlands. Mitchell Van Dijk secures pole for Minimax ahead of Thomas Strauven. Jens Troyer rounds out the top 3, a further 2 1,000ths of a second adrift of Thomas Strauven. Then it was Casper Schormans and Jasper Lehnertz who round out the top 5. The coverage margin between the top 5, just 85 thousandths of a second. Renaud Franco, Len Nyes, Olivier Jonkers, Colin Vasny, and also Lawrence Herbots from Belgium rounds out the top 10, separated by 1/1000th shy of a second exactly. Sem Bollen takes 11th ahead of Tiemann Huben from the Netherlands, Danila Chernega from Belarus, and Karol Kaminski round out the 14 strong. But what a close qualifying session. I've seen quite a lot of motorsport in my days, and especially over the last 3 seasons up until this year of karting. And that is hands down one of the closest fought qualification sessions I have seen here at Karting Genk. What a great job by Van Dijk, Strauven, Troyer, Schormans and Lehnertz to be within 9 100ths of each other at the end of a 5-minute rapid-fire qualifying session. And that is just the teaser, the appetizer ahead of our next qualification session. It will be the DD2 Masters up very, very shortly. So Van Dijk takes it ahead of Strauven, Troyer, Schormans, Lehnertz, Franco, Nyes, Jonkers, Vasny, Herbots, Bollen, Huben, Chernega and Kaminski, all separated by just a fraction over 2.5 seconds. As they will now head through into the Parc Fermé and scrutineering. And a big thank you so far we are literally 7 likes away from 1,000 on our official Facebook page, which you can type in at BNL Karting Series in the search engine on the top, just below the browser, the URL browser entry. So a big thank you for those that have liked and supported the BNL Karting Series so far, as 2020 looks to be an even more anticipating, mouth-watering prospect around two fantastic circuits in Belgium. Big thank you for those. You can also follow us on other social media channels. We are on Instagram at BMC_BNL. You can also go to at KartingBNL on Twitter. Please give us a like. Please follow us. We will follow back, I can guarantee you that much, as there is plenty of action which will be broadcasted live through multiple different broadcast platforms throughout the course of the season. And good to speak to a few of the drivers a bit earlier on today through my travels through the paddock. Good to see quite a few familiar faces who have returned to the BNL Karting Series. Truly an international competition. And for those at home wondering, what are they going to get apart from a trophy on the top step or on the podium? Well, 6 drivers, the 6 weekend winners here at Karting Genk, come tomorrow afternoon, will each have in their hand a ticket to the 2020 Rotax Max Challenge International Trophy, taking place between the 28th of July and the 1st of August at Le Mans, where legends are born. And the circuit itself is not too far from the iconic Circuit de la South, which hosts the 24 Heures du Mans every single year on the FIA World Endurance Championship. But along with that, there's been a little bit of a carrot to dangle in front of the Micro and the Minimax competitors. A big thank you to PL8 Design, who out of the kindness of their hearts are giving away a brand new race helmet case for the ones that get the fastest lap in the last race in both Micro and Minimax. And they will take away a brand new race helmet bag to store their pride and joy. A race driver's helmet, a racing helmet, has a colour design that is intrinsic to them. It gives us an idea of their personality. It's something that is cherished by them, and you see so many different race helmet liveries throughout the world of motorsport, and it's really good to see that the young competitors enjoy having these race helmets painted to their specification. And a big thank you to PL8 Design for their assistance with that. Oh, and we do have to say a very big thank you to a former BNL Karting Series alumni, Tom Reinartz. Thank you very much, mate. Good luck to all, he says. I'm sure that they're going to need it, my friend, and good luck to your future travels. Tom was part of the Team Belgium squad that went to Sarno last year, competed in Junior Max, a very, very hard-fought category as well. Great to see so much activity on social media through my scourings on my smartphone. And there is plenty of people that have posted messages or posted on on Instagram more specifically, where they've been posting like it was going out of fashion. So a big thank you to everyone that has come here this weekend. It is looking a little bit greyer outside, but the good thing is that the track is absolutely bone dry at the moment, with plenty of Mojo Racing rubber laid on the circuit throughout the course of the day as the drivers have got themselves acclimatised to the circuit itself. quite a few familiar names about to head onto the circuit in just over 90 seconds time from the BNL Karting Series. There is also something that we do provide at the end of each BNL Karting Series weekend, which started at the kickoff last year, in memory of the late Peter de Wit, a well-respected, well-loved man here at Karting Gang, part of the team. We award the Fair Play Trophy to one particular individual, and that person keeps it until the next race weekend, and we will look to do the same here this very weekend. The previous winner, if memory serves me correctly, I think might have been Flint Shuring in our last round last October. So we might have a different winner this time around. So for those wondering where you can find out where the live timing is, it is at motorsport-events.se/BNL live/hash. That's the way that you can get onto the live timing. Results are available to download. All sessions this afternoon and tomorrow are provisional when we are streaming live to the internet. So wherever you are in the world, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Looks like the comments are coming in on Facebook. Good to see some welcome interaction over there. Shout out to Matthew Wise, whose son was with us as one of the 3 qualifiers from the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships one-off event at Forest Edge. Ollie Wise, so look forward to hopefully seeing you guys soon. I think we've also had another comment. And then Yvonne Outleidner. Thank you for your comment with regards to the team. I think David is running in. David's running in Junior Max, so we will. So the timer has started ticking away for 5 minutes of qualifying for DD2 Masters. So we have the likes of Sebastian Humpelhardt from Germany, Tamsin Germain from the United Kingdom, Tom de Serre from Belgium, Rudy Champion, who recently took the crown of Winter Cup champion 2 weeks ago at Karting Campos, the Frenchman driving for PKS Competition. Then we've got everyone's favourite De Bakker, the guy formerly known as the fastest baker in Flanders, Carl Klebort, the 510 from Bouvin Power, is back once again, and he was our champion from last year. Roland Kinch, we've also got Christoph Adams, a 14-time Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals competitor. Sure, he's going to be gunning for number 15 this year, which takes place at the Bahrain International Circuit between the 7th and 14th of November. Andreas Schindler, Tanu Yildiz, one of the nicest guys I think I've ever met in the paddock, and is also a former Peter de Wit Fair Play Trophy winner himself. Michael Becker. We've also got Marco Schelp, who's running under a New Zealand flag this weekend. So quite a few drivers have come through that. Hayden Padden from the World Rally Championship, Brendan Hartley, who has also taken a World Endurance Championship crown or 2, and is currently running with Geox Dragon in FIA ABB FIA Formula E. So Carl Klebort setting the pace to 58.696. He had a 100% winning streak until the final race weekend last year. He won all 4 races at the opener at Genk, and then also at Marienburg at Karting Defang, which is the midpoint again for us this season, on the first weekend of July. Tamsin Germain just over 8.5 tenths of a second behind is the Brit, but then Rudy Champion goes top with a 54.612. But then Carl Klebort responds as is in customary fashion. De Bakker goes quickest with a 54.545. Champion 67 thousandths of drift. Tamsin Germain rounds out the top 3 ahead of Sebastian Humpelhardt and Andreas Schindler, both from Germany. Tom de Serre rounds out the top 6 and is 1.1 seconds off of the electric pace from Carl Klebort at the minute. Then we've got Christoforos Gratsias from Greece in the 5.06, rounding out the top 9, with Marco Schelp rounding out the top 10, separated by 1.729 seconds as we're into the last couple of minutes, as looks like Tamsin Germain is being followed Currently, that looks to be Rudy Champion, running on the Sodi Kart chassis, if memory serves me correctly. Champion goes to within 41 hundredths of 41 thousandths of Clearball, but then Humpelhart goes 6 1,000ths quicker, followed by just 1 1,000th thanks to Tom Dessert. As Carl Clearball, at the minute, I think has just decided to back off and looks to maybe wind up the wick, so to speak. Gracias from Greece, 12th, just a fraction ahead of Tanu Yildiz, who is only 1.3 seconds off of Carl Clearball at the moment in terms of pure pace. The 572 from Germany, running in a 22.2 on the first sector, where drivers like Clearball, Rumpelhart and Glauser in the 504, as Alessandro Glauser from Switzerland. Clearball puts in a 16.1 on sector 2, that's quicker than anyone out on the circuit. And then gets jumped by Sebastian Humpelhart, but then Clearball responds in kind. Goes over a tenth quicker, 0.140 of a second to be exact. So puts Clearball as the first one to go sub 54.3 by 12 thousandths of a second. Christoph Adams now up into P6. Was P5 briefly before Alessandro Glauser from Switzerland went fourth on a 54.567. Gracias from Greece now up into P12, that's a 55.548, a best lap for the Grecian at the minute, with Marco Schulp rounding out the 14 here as the timer is fast counting down. So the checkered flag will now be waved, and Rudy Champion will take the flag first ahead of Tamsin Germain. Germain goes fifth quickest, but only 0.2 off. Rumpelhart second. And Carl Clearball again goes quicker, but by 41 thousandths of a second on a 54.247, putting him top of the times. Now, obviously, as I said earlier on, and I'll reiterate this at every single opportunity, that all results are provisional, pending any technical and sporting checks. So Carl Clearball takes provisional pole for DD2 Masters, ahead of Germany's Sebastian Humpelhart. The 2020 Rotax Max Challenge Winter Cup champion PKS Competitions Rudy Champion rounds out the top three, just 7 1,000ths adrift in third place. Tom Dessert takes fourth, with James Beecroft running with Sodi Vitesse this weekend, as they have Bradley Barrett running in the senior Rotax, who we will see in action a bit later on, rounding out the top five, just 6 1,000ths quicker than Tamsin Germain, who was exactly 2.5 tenths of a second slower than Carl Clearball, but still showed great pace throughout the session. Alessandro Glauser rounds out the top 7, with Christoph Adams, Michael Becker and Andreas Schindler rounding out the top 10, all covered by just 0.76 of a second after that fast 5-minute session. Tanu Yildiz was just over 9 tenths off of Clearball with a 55.174, putting the German in 11th place ahead of Greece's Christoforos Gratsias in the 5.06. Roland Kinch in 13th. Still a good effort from the Brit, just under 1.1 seconds off of Clearball on a 55.335, with Marco Schulp representing New Zealand. Not a bad effort from the 533, a 56.196. It's a very technical track here at Karting Genk. And it is one of those tracks that you do need to put the laps in to keep going. So for those watching on Facebook and also on YouTube, you can just see the drivers making their way into Parc Fermé, the scrutineering area where the karts will be weighed, along with drivers. And they'll just be making sure that everything is in fine technical working order. So that is 3 qualification sessions down. We have a further 5 to go, which will take us to, I think, just after about 20 past 6 local time here, which is in just over an hour and 10 minutes' time. And if anyone was to ask me predictions about who's going to win the tickets to Le Mans, I said, watch and find out tomorrow. There's no point in me putting any predictions, because normally when you ask a commentator that, it all goes out of the window. And I'm one of these people that will not do that kind of thing, because I would rather see it unfold before my very eyes. So please feel free to get involved with us on the relevant social media channels. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, please comment, please like. If you haven't subscribed to the Camp Company GmbH YouTube channel, if you're watching from there, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on the video, and also hit the notification bell, because it will give you every single notification whenever that channel goes live, which will be covering 4 different championships this year, along with the BNL Karting Series. There will also be the Rotax Max Challenge Euro Trophy, the Rotax Max Challenge Germany, and the Rotax Max Challenge Clubsport. A big thank you for those listening on Rotax Radio, on Downforce Radio, the nation's motorsport station. Thank you very much for those that are tuning in at the moment. So still, the anticipation builds, because now we have the first of our 2 lottery-driven groups for Junior Rotax qualification. Again, 5 minutes in each. And quite a lot of impressive talent in this one. Welcome back to... if I mention the words... Now, I know, sir, people that watched the 2018 Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals that took place at Conde Paraiba in Brazil. There was a certain young Belgian with the most recognisable head filled with blonde hair. I am, of course, talking about Dewey de Decker, who is with us here this weekend. He's running with Stampex Motorsport on the Kart Republic chassis, so we'll find out how Dewey gets on with a heck of a lot of different talent from so many different nationalities. Germany, Sweden, the Netherlands, Denmark, Belarus. We've even got the odd occasional Brit in there as well, and a few from Germany alongside. And also good to see that one young individual has made the class move up. But there is one other that has also made the jump up to two classes. And this driver was the driver that... Now, I hope that his father, Martin, is either watching or listening. The driver that took the clean sweep in, I think it was Micromax, on the first weekend of the season, and nicknamed him Mr. Domination, Tommy van der Stroys, jumps up to juniors for this season. A very exciting prospect. But then I have to look through the amount of talent that we have, and there are 2 drivers that I have now seen graduate from Mini to Junior, and it is the only twin brothers that we have here in this championship. I am speaking none other than about the 2 twin brothers from Stampex Motorsport, Tim and Nick Gerhards, with Tim taking the Minimax crown last season. And they first got their taste of true Junior Rotax action 2 weeks ago at Karting Company, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they get on. We've also got another champion from the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals in this field, Kartschmied.de's German wunderkind that is Farin Mega, won Minimax a couple of years ago. So there's a lot of talent in here, a lot of great drivers that I think, again, predictions. I can't make any. I am not going to make any because I'll just put both feet in first. And I'll probably end up to my neck in it because It's junior Rotax and senior Rotax are the two categories that really, really make watching Rotax racing for me, along with all the other classes, just some of the highlights. I've seen some fantastic battling all the way through when I started commentating on the BNL Karting Series back in the final round of 2018. And I remember that particular year, Lewis Gilbert was runner-up. Lewis is now a senior. Mike Van Vught, who went on to become a two-time Rotax Max Euro Trophy champion in his own right in the junior Rotax class with JJ Racing. But it is one of those things where I just cannot bring myself to make any predictions whatsoever. So we're just literally seconds away from getting our first of two junior Rotax groups of qualifiers. Again, 5 minutes a session. It doesn't really give them time to blink, let alone breathe, because they will be visors down, red mist on song, and they will look forward and try to... that's the thing about qualifying. It's all about jockeying for position, making sure that you are in the right place at the right time to maximise your advantage over the opposition. And that is what surely shows true qualification pace. So it's now gone 5:15 local time. The first 22 junior Rotax drivers now make their way out of the pre-grid onto the circuit here. So we've got Luc Nessen from the Netherlands, Lucas Schoenmakers, also from the Netherlands, Max Knapen, Tommy van der Stroys, Thomas Martens, Nikita Genza, Jaden Thien, a young talent that I've been looking forward to seeing come through into the junior Rotax division. I'm so glad that he is. I know that he is going to be representing the Netherlands this year on the FIA Academy Trophy. A great, prestigious honour thrown onto the youngster. We've then got Austin Lee, originally out of Preston, Oregon, and now he lives in Nuremberg, so he's running under the German flag. I hear that his German's quite good for a young lad his age. Having started karting back at the age of 6. Astrid Amlöf from Sweden, who also has Arvid Rosen under the same nationality here. Valentin Klus, Patrick Snorslock-Mellis from Latvia, Marius Ros from Denmark, Alex Mikos, Magnus Pedersen, Larke Ron Sorensen as the first set of lap times come in, and it is ever so close at the top. It's a Dutch 1, 2, 3 with Knapen, Schoenmakers and Van der Stroys, all separated by 22 thousandths of a second. And it's Magnus Pedersen from Denmark. Then we have Thomas Martens from Belgium, Nikita Genza, Enzo Bol, Luc Nessen, Marius Rose, and Tom Braken also has been selected by the RACB to represent the country in the FIA Academy Trophy this season. So they will be competing against multiple different nationalities this year, but they are still hell-bent on fulfilling full season campaigns this year. Now, looking at the times, and between Knapen and Nessen was about 1 second as Thomas Martins now overtakes Tommy van der Stroys. Now comes Jaden Thien up into second. Arvind Rosen was third, now drops to fourth. Behind Jaden Thien is Magnus Pedersen from Denmark, goes second quickest with a 57.096. So still plenty of things going. So the entire 22-strong junior Rotax first group, designated by lottery, so as it is a random draw, are separated by exactly 4 seconds. But the top 14, with Nikita Genza rounding out that at the minute, was just a quarter of a tenth off of a second. As it changes once again as Martins hits the front. Then it goes to Austin Lee. Now it's Pedersen's turn. As Thien and Lockmellis set exactly the same lap time, but on the benefit of Thien doing that lap time first, as Tom Braken now goes in and goes to the top spot provisionally with just under 90 seconds of this session remaining. 56.226 from the Belgian, also running with Stampex Motorsport. Pedersen now only 23 thousandths behind the young Belgian. Austin Lee from Germany in third. Jaden Thien and Patrick Snows Lockmellis from the Netherlands and Latvia respectively round out the top five, all separated by exactly 0.111 of a second. And again, it is changing. It is absolutely changing like I couldn't believe as we've got 42 seconds on the clock. As I'm about to say them, they change quite rapidly. So Martins retakes the top spot ahead of Thien, Valentin Klus, Tommy van der Stroys, Magnus Pedersen round out the top five, separated by just under 0.4 of a second. Braken now all the way down in 12th position ahead of Austin Lee, who's 0.7 off the pace thus far. But the majority of the field running in the 22.4s in the first sector. Janssen's just put in a 16.6 on that last tour on sector 2. Some drivers now making personal bests at the moment, which is Wilderman. Now that's a name I recognise for RMC Clubsport, I think, if memory serves me correctly. Variato Wilderman, who I saw compete at the RMC Clubsport finale at Kerpen late last year. So Martins goes provisional pole. Neeson. Well, Jaden Thien pops up into second on that attempt. Van der Stroy is down in sixth ahead of Arvid Rosen, who rounds out in the top seven. And they're separated by just over 0.365 of a second. So Martins takes the fastest time. And what will happen post-qualifying is that after the provisional and sporting checks, they'll be assigned into groups A, B and C. So Thomas Martins takes the top time in Group 1 for Junior Rotax, ahead of Jaden Thien from the Netherlands. Patrick Knowles Lockmellis rounds out the top three, separated by 0.226 of a second. Luc Neeson, Valentin Klus, Tommy van der Stroys, Arvid Rosen, Magnus Pedersen, Nikita Genser and Dirk Janssen round out the top 10, separated by just under 4.5 of a second. Austin Lee from Germany rounds out the top 11 itself. Max Klappen in 12th ahead of Lukas Schoenmakers, Marius Roos, Tom Braken, Nathan Schaap, Astrid Amloff, Enzo Bol, Alex Mikos, Lakeron Sorensen, Variato Wilderman and Mikkel Garde Petersen rounding out the 22 strong, all separated by 1.832 seconds after that particular 5-minute qualification session. There is another one coming up very, very shortly, in just a few moments' time, as we'll have the second of the Junior Rotax contingent out on the circuit here at Karting Genk. So for those listening on the Downforce Radio stream, you can follow us on at Downforce Radio on Facebook, at Downforce Radio on Twitter, and also at Downforce Motorsport on Instagram. You can also go to our official website, available 24/7 at downforceracing.uk. A big thank you to all those that continue to support what we do. We try and provide the best content possible for you ladies and gentlemen out there. There is some upcoming programming which is going to be rather exciting, a new edition of Race the Roof, everything touring cars. We'll have a bit of a revision of the format for next time out with myself, Alex Goldschmidt, Sam Hall, our supercars expert, and Phil Kinch, the man that loves everything TCR. Stay tuned for that one. We'll also have episodes of Roaring Back the Years. We'll also have a new episode of Send It at the end of this month with myself and Downforce Radio CEO and Chairman Jake Sanson, who's currently sunning himself at Dubai. Lucky beggar. But effectively, that really is quite a lot of things to come. We're actually at the halfway stage of qualifying, and now I'm going to go back onto the stream itself as we'll continue our live stream coverage on both Facebook and YouTube. So a very changeable lap time board, let's say, in that particular occasion, where you could not really, I think one of the phrases we have in the UK, you haven't got enough room to swing a cat, let alone keep an eye on the timing screens to see who ended up where. But well done to Martins, Thien, Lochmelis, Neeson and Klus rounding out the top 5 in this particular side of things. And there's some pretty close gaps, I think, between Marius Roos and Tom Braken. It was just 6 1,000s between 14th and 15th place. And then you look a bit further up the field, Nikita Gensa maybe could have got past Magnus Pedersen on the last lap, but missed out by about 13 thousandths of a second. And then it got even closer up at the top as well. Tommy van der Stroys was literally... Tom Boner at Genk. Thank you, Frans Langenberg. Thank you very much for messaging me there on Facebook. A good friend who works with the Chrono and the Belgium Max Challenge. So a lot, as I said, yeah, it is a Tom Bowler, friends. I think you put that word right in there where it needed to be put. So effectively, there's still many chances for the remaining 4 qualifying sessions of who will end up where come the end of today. And for those wondering, can we watch this all back? Yes, you can. You can listen to it all back because every single download, every single broadcast through Rotax Radio on Downforce Radio, the nation's motorsport station, is available free to download the minute the broadcast has finished. So you can listen to it in your car live online, just as long as you put in the Spreaker app on your Apple or Android smartphone and type in on the search box Downforce Radio. You'll be able to find Rotax Radio there. We are broadcasting all the way through the 2020 season. We started with Karting Campillos 2 weeks ago for the Winter Cup, and then our next transmission will be back with the BNL Karting Series before a double header with the first round of the Rotax Max Euro Trophy between the 10th and the 12th of April, which is the Easter weekend. So local time now is 17:26. So we'll just have just over 3 minutes until the second group for Junior Rotax will head on circuit before we then have DD2 and then both lottery-driven groups for Senior Rotax, who will close out the action not just today for qualifying but also the racing action tomorrow. Feels like a bit of an eternity since I was last here. And there's going to be plenty more trips for myself personally back into to Belgium, especially here at Karting Genk with this round, the kickoff, round 1 of the BNL Karting Series on the first weekend of April, which will be the 4th and 5th, and then a week later back here for the Euro Trophy season opener, and then off to Karting de Fagnes on the 4th and 5th of July before we head back to Karting Genk for the 10th and 11th of October, where we will be giving away some tickets for the 2020 Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals, which again will we were kept waiting by Rotax themselves with bated breath and anticipation that it will take place at the Bahrain International Karting Circuit between the 7th and the 14th of November. Last year was, I think, one of the biggest experiences for me within my motorsport travels, as 360 drivers, nigh on 60 different nationalities. What was it? A heck of a lot of fuel burnt, a heck of a lot of tyres used. And for those that might be watching at home, that with the slick tyres, you might see a little yellow sort of ring around the top part of the sidewall before you see where the sidewall connects with the main contact patch of the tyre. Well, what has happened is that the Mojo tyres are now CIK FIA homologated. So the D2, now known as the D2XX, and then the D5 is used under the moniker D5CIK. And also the W5s have come under CIK ratification, and a lot of hard work has gone into making this happen, thanks to both Mojo but also their parent company Heidenau Tyres. So again, Rotax and Mojo seem to be synchronised in harmony, which is great to see, as we're going to now have the remaining 22 drivers heading out onto the circuit. So they start making their way out of the pre-grid, some of them putting the accelerator down and weaving, trying to get some heat into not just the Mojo tyres but also the brakes. Very, very crucial for any racing driver to have hot tyres, hot brakes, so they function at the absolute time when they are required. So we have Bruno Molders, Christian de Klein, Danny van Hoyten, Farin Mega, Yuri Schoens, Tern Schmidt, David Adlener from Poland, Roman Sapkowski and Maxim Suchurko, all both from Belarus, so welcome. Maurice Schmeis, Gilles Clouet, Georges Peters, Can Agasade from Germany, Dan Ginchard, Simon Birch Christiansen, Milan Ritter, Oscar Christiansen, Sam Bergstein, Dewey de Dijker, Tim and Nick Gerhards, and I think the last to come out of the pre-grid would have been Lars Ron Sorensen from Denmark, as Van Hoyten puts in the initial benchmark of a 1 minute 3.184, 6/10 quicker than Bruno Molders. Daniel Ginchard running in around about the lower part of the top 5, 5th position to be precise, just under 1.8 seconds off of as already Tim Gerhard's quickly showing his adaptation to Junior Rotax, but there is a driver stuck, or who has come pretty much to a stop on the entrance into what is turn 5. Now it starts to get going again. I'll keep an eye on that driver and see on the timing, but is the driver going to make it back? No. That's someone who is not very, very happy at all. That could be somebody out there, but I'll just find out as the driver now trying to push the cart out of harm's way. As the times are now dropping, Farin Mega from Germany goes top, 56.748 from the young German. Christian de Klein and Oscar Christensen ran out the top 3, separated by 6/10. I've got effectively, looks like we've got 20 competitors. Well, make that 21. As both Nick Gerhards and Lars-Ron Sorensen have not posted a time in this session. But At least the main thing is that the driver is safely away from the kart. So the times change quickly again, and it's now 6 1,000ths between Christian de Klein and Farin Mega, with Tim Gerhards now down into fourth behind Morris Schmeiss from Germany. Simon Birch Christensen this time goes P3. De Decker running in P9 at the moment, 7/10ths off the pace, just 7 1,000ths quicker than the 2.04 of Great Britain's KR Sport wonder that is Daniel Ginchard. Tern Schmidt, Sam Bergstein, George Peters, David Outleiner and Kian Agasade from Germany round out the top 15, separated by just under 1.5 seconds. We're now approaching the last nigh on 60 seconds as Farin Mega's just put in an absolute blinder, as has Tim Gerhards on the first sector. 22.2. Mega looks to have the toe coming out of the final corner. And that is just behind the 271 of Bruno Molders as Mega goes quickest, 55, treble 6. Christian de Klein is the nearest competitor as Dan Ginchard now goes into third. 56.112 from the Brit, 0.446 off of Farin Mega's time, but Tim Gerhards now blows that one out of the water with some cannon fodder by about just over 3.5 tenths worth of it. Puts in a 55.297. So Tim Gerhards leads the way in this session with literally 5 seconds to go. So in a moment it will come down to 0. Looks like we might have a short delay whilst the kart is being recovered. As the checkered flag now waves, the first driver to cross the line will be de Klein. Doesn't improve. Mega does not improve. Molders down in 13th. Schmeiss 4th. Ginchard goes 3rd. Milan Ritter goes 7th ahead of Tern Schmidt, it looks like. Schmeiss and Bergstein round out the top 10. But Tim Gerhards has provisionally taken has taken the top time in that session. A great work from the young Dutchman in the 2.05, 55.297. Farin Mega 0.369 behind in second, just a mere 17 thousandths ahead of Daniel Ginchard from Great Britain. Oscar Christensen rounds out the top 4 ahead of Christian de Klein, which makes it 4 different nationalities in the top 5 positions. Simon Birch Christensen and Milan Ritter round out the top 7 ahead of the Netherlands' very own Tern Schmidt. Germany's Morris Schmeiss and Sam Bergstein from the Netherlands rounding out the top 10, all separated by 8.25 tenths of a second. Doi de Decker would take 11th in that session ahead of David Outleidner from Poland, Bruno Molders, George Peters, Maxim Socherko, Joris Schoens, Kian Agasade from Germany, with Gilles Clouet from Belgium, and Roman Sakovsky from Belarus rounding out the top 19. And if I'm not very much mistaken, that might be very well that the kart that is forlorn off of the exit of turn number 5 might very well be the 2.34 of Danny van Ruyten. Not 100% sure because van Ruyten did not cross the finish line. And that looks to be the JJ Racing colours, so I think my suspicions might be confirmed as positive very, very shortly. Driver announcement. Could the following driver please report to the stewards? The following driver to report to the stewards. Jens Troyer, please report to the stewards. That's Minimax driver Jens Troyer from the Netherlands. Please report to the stewards immediately. Thank you. So So 5 qualification sessions down, 3 more to go. Now I've also seen that Nick Gerhards and also Lake Ron Sorensen did not take any part in that qualification session, so they will be on the back foot in their respective qualifying heats tomorrow. And that looks to be the case, that it is Danny van der Ruyten that has just been recovered into the Parc Fermé. And van der Ruyten, unfortunately, only completing 1 lap. So a big thank you to the recovery crew, as always here at Karting Genk. Very expedient in how they are able to get the kart off of the track as quickly as is physically possible. So hopefully we'll see a spirited performance from Danny van der Ruyten tomorrow morning. So with regards to Junior Rotax, they will have 3 preliminary heats. So the first one will be Heat B and C. That will take place, that's the first race that kickstarts the business end of the BNL Karting Series kickoff at 9:45 local time tomorrow. The second one will be at 11:15 with groups A and C going into battle, and then we will have the final one, groups A and B. That will be the penultimate race before the lunch break at 1:45 local time, barring any delays or stoppages during the morning. Also, there will be a second chance heat for Junior Rotax after the lunch break. That will be the first of what is effectively 7 races tomorrow afternoon at 2:15 local time. Big shout out to Siobhan Turney. Hope you and Joe are keeping well. I see that Joe's doing very good work with the Tony Kart Factory team over in Italy. And Joe was our 2018 BNL Karting Series Senior Rotax champion. Last year it was Dylan LaHaye, who I have seen and had a quick catch up with this morning. And she's wished everyone the best of luck this weekend. That's really, really nice of you, Siobhan. Always good to catch up whenever we can. I think the last time I caught up with you was when Joe was running in Formula 4 at Brands Hatch. I think it was the other year. I can't remember. I think it was last year. And it was good to see you and Joe and catch up and reminisce over old times. And good to see that even if you do go onto pastures new, you never forget your roots. And that's really, really good to see. I've just had a look on the timing screens that Lake Ron Sorensen in the 2:32 was unfortunately a non-starter. So Ron Sorensen unfortunately not setting a lap time. Neither did unfortunately Nick Gerhards. So we'll see whether Lake and Nick come back fighting tomorrow. Well, I'm going to give a mention from someone who's just pinged the official BMC_BNL Instagram page. Username at OKT_racing_. Well, good to see that good to hear that you're here at Karting Genk with us as well. So a big thank you for those that continue to interact with us on the relevant social media channels. It's quite interesting when everything goes very, very silent for just a brief moment or two. As they say, it is the calm before the storm. And qualifying is frenetic at its very, very best, but then it really, really goes up a different level when you go into the racing. And I've spoken with a couple of drivers earlier on today, whilst I've been working with Kevin Vonks from vosmedia.be. We will be doing the after movies for the BNL Karting Series for 2020, so good to have them back on board with us. And it's very interesting that we were talking about what karting means to people, and I got some really interesting responses, like saying, it's pure racing. And there are drivers that go up the ladder and then, for whatever reason, financial or otherwise, that they then don't have that opportunity to move further up the ladder, but then come back to the roots, come back to karting. And then there are drivers, every driver we know wants to go out there and do their best and win. And sometimes luck is on your side, sometimes it isn't. There can be a spanner thrown in the works. But anything can happen in motorsport, and quite normally it usually does. As the countdown has started for our DD2 drivers, all 25 that are now heading on to the circuit. So we have the likes of Rasmus Vendelbo, Mark Duholm, Erikas Beliauskas, Victor Paulsen, Lasse Andreasen, Sebastian de Grand, Gustav Dalman-Birch, Maxim Dedic, Alexander Stanibekyan, Ate Mikhailov from Russia, Silas Litter, who on his DD2 debut 2 weeks ago was on the final step of the rostrum at the Winter Cup. Silas was running in juniors last year. And I know for a fact that a certain individual definitely wants to win as a birthday present tomorrow. I will mention said person tomorrow when it is their birthday, and I'm not going to start trying to jinx things yet, but we've got Brittany Kinch from the UK, Adrian Zlasis from Latvia, Marcel Steinert, Jonas Volscheid, Mick Knowlton, a former senior Rotax driver, now comes into the DD2 fraternity. So times are coming in. Vanderborg goes top, 2 tenths ahead of Duholm. Paulsen rounds out the top 3. Sebastian de Grand, who's been running with Dams Racing. Good to see him back in the Rotax fold. Marcel Steiner, Lasse Andreasen, Silas Ritter, Gilles Wellings and Mick Knowlton round out the top 10 ahead of Mikhailov, Lassis, Kinch, Beliauskas, Jan Schwitter, who I spoke with earlier on today as well. Then you've got Birch from Denmark, Kurp Fleischmann, good to see Maxi back with us. Grapoth from Germany, Sani Bekian Gersens, Diric, Zander Schublak, 2-time reigning and defending BNL Karting Series DD2 champion. Not quite on the pace yet, but wait and see with this young man from Belgium, based out of Genk, running with Bouvin Power. And he's been running in the Rotax family from his days in Micromax a few years ago. So he was definitely in the hunt for the Grand Finals title, as Jan Schwitter from Switzerland goes top. The 427 from FM Racing, 53.786. Just under 2 tenths quicker. As well, I did say it was going to happen. Zonda Schublak goes top. Just over a tenth quicker than Schwitter. 53.670 from the Belgian. Mick Knowlton now up into 6th. Well, was, now down into 7th as Rasmus Vendelbo goes ahead of Silas Ritter for P4. Setting his best lap of the Wout Antonissen, unfortunately, has yet to set a lap time, but I don't think might make it out. Might be a did not start on this session. As Marcel Steinert from Germany goes up into 4th, as Lund now takes 2nd. Ritter and Schwitter rounds out the top 4. But then Schwitter responds and goes over a 10th quicker than Zander Schublack on a 53.538. I had a good chat with Jan earlier on today, and he said, I had the 1 lap pace in quali. The consistency was what I was missing. And now he's got an opportunity, new chassis for 2020. He's looking a bit more optimistic that he's going to move forward rather than sort of ending on a plateau that isn't really going to go anywhere throughout the season. So he's just over 3 tenths slower than Schublack at the moment, as Lasse Andreasen 8th. Silas Ritter up into 2nd place, 9 1,000ths quicker than the Swiss driver in the 4:27. Kinch up to 22nd. Didik in the 4:99 goes 19th quickest. As we are getting close towards the last 30 seconds of the DD2 Masters. The DD2 class. My apologies there. As Jan Negusens goes 12th. Schublack has put in a 53.228. Not on this lap, he's just put in a 54.9. There's 12 seconds on the clock remaining. So Schublack quicker than Silas Ritter and Jan Schwitter respectively. The gap between the top, covering the top 3 is just 0.31 of a second. Lasse Andresen now up back into 4th place. As Beliauskas from Lithuania, I believe, has gone over the line in 24th. Matthias Lund takes 5th. Wendelbo is 8th at the moment, as Jan Schwitter will take provisionally 3rd place. Not improved on that lap, but was just under 2 tenths off of his best effort. Just put in a 53.729, as Zander Schublack goes and puts in a 53.329 on his final lap in qualifying, and provisionally has taken pole position for DD2. So we're just waiting for a few other drivers to cross the line. So Mick Knowlton rounds out the top 10. Just a fraction over 7 tenths off of Zander Schublack. Mark Duholm might have just called it time. Probably might not have had a potential answer because of Schublack, because he was 4 tenths down in Sector 1 and then 9 tenths down in Sector 2 on a 16.8 second sector. So Zander Schublack provisionally takes pole position for DD2 ahead of tomorrow's first of 2 race encounters. Silas Ritter again, the youngster from RS Competition from Denmark, 2nd. Jan Schwitter, representing Switzerland, rounds out the top 3 ahead of Lasse Andresen and Matthias Lund. That makes it, and along with Mark Duholm, that makes it 4 Danish drivers in the top 6. Marcel Steinert in 7th for Germany, Rasmus Vendelbo, Alexander Tsani-Bekian and Mick Knowlton round out the top 10. Sebastian de Grand in 11th, just 83 thousandths off of Mick Knowlton. Jan Negusens in 12th. Chris Kopp and Max Fleischmann and Victor Paulsen round out the top 15 ahead of Wout Antonissen, who finally got going, only did 2 laps of qualifying but managed to put the 4.33 on 16th ahead of Gilles Puellings, Artem Mikhailov from Russia, Bastian Krapov from Germany, Maxim Didic from Belgium, Jonas Wolscheid, Gustav Danman-Birch, Brindley Kinch and Adrians Lassis and Erikas Beliauskas rounding out the 25 strong. So as the light starts to fade a little bit here at Karting Genk, we're fast approaching 5 to 6 local time. Drivers will now go through the technical checks post session. So all results as called will be provisional pending any technical and sporting checks, and that happens after every single session. And there's probably some contemplation down in the pit lane whilst they're making their way through to technical. There are those drivers that will have thought, that was a great lap, but I could have done better. And that's the key motivational point that any driver can use to help them move forward. And that is very much true in any category of the BNL Karting Series, as I've seen over the last year and a half. And the kickoff, always a great event to start things, reset the balance, refresh the ledger to blank zero if you're starting your accounts for another year. So the drivers will be thinking about how they're going to go into tomorrow. And they do say that tomorrow is always another day, but it just depends on so many different factors. Weather, setup, motivation. Is there something that the driver thinks that through the data? Because there is a lot of data acquisition in motorsport these days, let's not forget, especially in karting now, because I've seen drivers either go into lengthy debriefing sessions post-session, or they're speaking with their mechanic about data, about where, in comparison maybe with a teammate who's gone maybe a tenth or 2/10 quicker, and they found maybe that they're braking about 10 metres later, but they're powering out of the corner 5 metres earlier. And there's so many different driving styles that complement every single class in this series. And in many respects, it's never easy. Qualifying is one of those times where you see who is fastest. But as they say, times are for show, points are to go, and this will be the case when DD2 goes into battle for the first of two races, both 14 minutes plus an additional lap in duration, as of 11:55 tomorrow morning local time. So if you're in the UK, that's 10:55, and obviously for those watching from across the globe, make sure you check your relevant time zones. But you can also see the timetables on the official social media platforms when we do have new changes for timetables or attention messages, that information that we need to broadcast to the drivers, the teams, to keep them up to speed. It's very much the case that we will always try and do our level best to allow a great international series to continue to help push new talent into the eyes of those higher up in the motorsport world, who you never know, anyone could be watching this stream, anybody around the globe, anyone, whether it be in touring cars, in sports cars, single seaters, anything, rallycross. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, I saw that very recently a young Corby Powells, you might remember that name from BNL days of yore, from early last year when he was with CV Performance Group. He has been rallycrossing quite recently last weekend with, I think, Thierry Neuville, who's one of the Hyundai WRC Works drivers, taking part on what was the opening round of that season. So I hope, Kobe, you're keeping well and keeping yourself razor sharp. It's at least he's getting plenty of practice for wet weather conditions or adverse conditions, depending on where he will be racing in 2020. So Kobe Powell's one of the many alumni that have come through the doors of the BNL Karting Series, amongst many others, and have moved forward. Clayton Ravenscroft is now part of the Birrell Art Factory team. He was in the mix for the senior Rotax title last year, and with the weather conditions not really helping to his favour, as I remember quite vividly when on the very first lap he was pushing to get towards the sharp end of the field and went off just on the outskirts of turn 2, and that really put his title run asunder. But He's a very, very quick peddler, is young Clayton. A lot younger than me. But hopefully Steve, Victoria, Vicky, if you're watching, we give all our best regards to Clayton and wish him all the very best with his work with the Birrell Art Factory team. So we come to our penultimate 5-minute qualification session, which will start with Group 1, lottery driven of course for Senior Rotax here at the home of champions, Karting Genk in Belgium. And when we saw that Junior Rotax, Mini Max were both quite close in qualifying, I think the term is you ain't seen nothing yet. We are 60 seconds away, or nigh on 60 seconds away from getting our first lottery group-driven Senior Rotax qualification session underway here. And sunset, well, we're going to be quite close on time. Sunset is predicted in 29 minutes' time. That's bang on 6:30. And we've got our final qualification session at 6:15 with the second lottery-driven group of qualifiers for Senior Rotax. And again, in this field, it is so hard to predict who is going to be on the top step, getting the ticket to Le Mans. So many drivers as we now hit 6 o'clock local time. As the first of the Senior Rotax drivers make their way out, we'll have 20 in this session. Lucas Scherbinskas looks to be the first one to cross the stripe, along with Dylan Lahey, Jeff Michiels, and we also got the 323 of Flintshire. And then we've got Cornelia Olkuka from Poland, Stefan Christensen, and we've also got a particular British driver who I have been looking forward to seeing compete here this weekend. He's been racing across Europe, but also in the United Kingdom. Could I ask that Carl Klebort, DD2 Masters driver, 5'10", Carl Klebort, please report to the stewards immediately. That's Carl Klebort to the stewards immediately. Thank you. Harry Thompson, one of the many respective drivers that are under the Kart Republic umbrella. He is running with Stampex Motorsport this weekend, and apparently I got wind that he's entering the Euro Trophy this year. That is a hot prospect. The dual ride diamond, of course, everyone's favourite young Scot, Lewis Gilbert, is with us. Andreas Herbert, Linus Hansen, Bart de Wit, Anthony Boulou, Yashwarama Jankan, Ehad Turka. Thank you very much to Nazima Turka for the Turkish Delight chocolates I've now got in the commentary box. Oh, I shouldn't have said that out publicly. People might want to nick them off me. But it's a Brit 1-2 at the moment. Gilbert leading from Thompson. Gilbert's just put in a 57.815 as the daylight is fast fading here at Karting Genk. Thompson second. Danny Van Dyke rounding out the top three. Anthony Boulou, Linus Henson. That's your top five, separated by 0.71 of a second. Herbert from France is followed by Mads Dies, Ramajankan, and the returning Robert De Haan. 2018 Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals Junior Rotax champion is back. I've been looking forward to this young man back in the BNL, and it's I've seen him in the Euro Trophy as they are jockeying for position heading into turn 12. As Thompson goes top, Gilbert responds and puts in a 54.503 as Bradley Barrett now goes second, a tenth quicker than Gilbert exactly, but Mads Dies from RS Competition, representing Denmark, now hits the top of the timesheets in Group 1 for Senior Rotax. 54.303, then it's Barrett on the new, he's part of the new UK Sodi-backed team Sodi Vitesse, which in other words means Sodi Speed. It sounds pretty cool when you say it as a Vitesse. It adds that bit of, I think it's the French would say, a bit of je ne sais quoi. Gilbert rounds out the top 3. Robert De Haan up into 4th. Harry Thompson 5th. Victor Plateau in 6th. Andreas Herbert, Ehad Turka. Well, as Dylan LaHaye goes to within 13 thousandths of Bradley Barrett, putting it P3 now Lewis Gilbert is the first one to go literally a thousandth of a second under 54 seconds. So the 329 with Potenza Racing engines, based out of the Dams Racing awning, I think, this weekend, if memory serves me correctly, is 0.2 of a second quicker than Andreas Herbert. Mads Rees rounds out the top 3. Then it's Harry Thompson, Bradley Barrett, Dylan LaHaye, Victor Plateau, Robert De Haan, Ehad Turka, Linus Henson. That rounds out the top 10, separated by 0.991 seconds. Jeff Michiels is down in 20th at the moment on a 58.3. So the 352 having a bit of work to do in this session as we now enter into the last 45 or so seconds. LaHaye does not improve on that particular occasion, but sets a personal best. Thompson doesn't improve, Gilbert doesn't improve, Herbert sets a 54.2 but does not get any closer to Gilbert. Mads Rees still in 3rd, Bilou 4th, Thompson 5th, Plateau, Barrett, LaHaye, Henson and Robert De Haan round out the top 10, separated by just over 0.6 of a second. Patrick Rundqvist now is back with us, the 358 from Sweden. He's running 11th ahead of Ehad Turka. Danny Van Dijk. We've then got the 323 of Flint-Schuring. Morris will be running in the 315 and will be in the other session. Then we've got Lukas Shobinskas, Ramjankan in 16th, Christensen in 17th, Bartavit, Olkulka and Michiels as the checkered flag waves. LaHaye 8th, Flint-Schuring 14th. Thompson won't improve more than 5th, but sets an exactly dead stone lap time, 54.340. Bellew 4th, Gilbert provisional pole, but what has Mads Rees got? I don't think he's going to get anywhere close to it. I think Rees has actually aborted that last lap. So Mads Rees was on a 22.2 for the first sector, and that was 5.10. That's half a second off of Gilbert, and nearly loses out a second in sector 2. So Rees, I think, had just decided to call it a day. So Lewis Gilbert from Scotland takes the top spot in Senior Rotax Qualification Group 1, a 53.999 from the 329. Followed by Andreas Herbert on a 54.2 flat in the 321. Mads Rees in 3rd on a 54.303 ahead of Anthony Bellew from France and Harry Thompson in 5th. That makes it 2 Brits in the top 5. Victor Plateau, Bradley Barrett, Linus Henson, Dylan LaHaye and Robert De Haan round out the top 10, separated by 0.44 of a second. And then a further 0.02 of a second back in 11th was Patrick Rundqvist from KR Sport representing Sweden. Danny Van Dijk, Ehad Turka, Bartavit, Flint-Schuring, Yashram Jankan, Lukas Shobinskas, Jeff Michiels, Stefan Christensen and Kornelia Olkulka from Poland rounds out the 20 strong. So 20 competitors in that particular group. Of course, as with the junior Rotax competitors, they too will end up in one of 3 groups, groups A, B or C. So there's quite a lot of talent in this pool. The piranha pool, as I'm going to call it, because they're all snapping at each other when the visors go down and the red mist swarms in underneath. Senior Rotax's first heat will be at 10:05 tomorrow morning. That will be groups B and C, 7 minutes plus an additional lap. Then we go to the second heat, that's groups A and C, at 11:35 before their final heat, which is the one that takes us into the lunch break, at 1:05 local time. That's groups A and B. Not yet sure if we're going to have a second chance heat, but if there is any amendment to that, we'll let you know through our relevant social media channels. But at the moment, Junior Rotax is the only one that has a second chance heat. The senior Rotax division will close out proceedings for the 2020 BNL Karting Series kickoff at around 25 to 5, and that will be around about 15 minutes of fast action around here at the 1,360 metre circuit, simply known as the Home of Champions. So, just one more qualification session to go before we close down for the evening out on the circuit. As I can already see that the timing board just off of the entrance into the right-hand kink at turn 1, I can see very, very clearly from here, as well as the on the gantry, just by the start lights, that the clock is very much prominent in my line of sight, and there are possibly some vehicles that will end up with their headlights on very, very shortly, and that includes the road-going traffic that is running parallel from turn 6 to 7 on the back straightaway here. And there have been times when we have seen that at the pace that the drivers are running at, particularly in the higher classes, that they will pass back marker they will pass parallel going road traffic as they saunter their way onto whatever they're doing, either whether it's a Saturday afternoon or evening, or maybe a leisurely drive on a Sunday morning, who knows. But there is still one more group to decide who will end up where. All the results will be available to look at on the official live timing for well, what you can simply do, rather than me give you the website address, is head to bnlkartingseries.com, our official website, available both in English and also Netherlands. And the good thing is that you can tap onto the live timing, and then you can well, I've just had a message from Andrea Giustini from Vroom International. The official results will be found on the official live timing, which you can find at bnlkartingseries.com. And there has just been awarded, well, I think someone's been thrown in their general direction, a 3-place grid penalty for their heats. And that is Yashram Jankan, who has dropped down from what was 16th place to 19th as a result of a I'm not too sure what happened post-race, whether there was a problem that caused the Dutch driver to end up in 19th rather than 16th. So you'll be able to go to bnlkartingseries.com, available both in English and Dutch, whichever your preference, available 24/7, 365. Apologies for the slight silence there, but when needs must, you have to answer WhatsApp or Facebook or something like that. That's the problem with doing so many things under one hat. But the main thing is that we are literally moments away. I think we're just over 60 seconds from the start of our final qualification session, our 8th and final 5-minute qualifying session for Group 2 for Senior Rotax, with Lewis Gilbert taking the top spot with a 53.999. That is the time to beat. But the biggest thing is now is that the air temperature has started to cool, because obviously the sun that we had earlier on was quite nice and warm, warming and filled with vitamin D. And now we have I don't know what I'll probably call it a light grey tinge to the skies. So we will very shortly be getting underway with our 8th and final qualifying session. 5 minutes will be put on the clock once again, and then from 9:45 tomorrow morning we will go racing in the BNL Karting Series kick-off. If there are any changes, we will let you know via the relevant social media channels. And here come the remaining 20. And now this is going to be an interesting one, because firstly, because the lights have started to fade, it's not going to affect them too much, but if it gets too dark too quickly, braking points can be missed, apexes can be missed, powering out of corners. So we've got the likes of Maurice Schuring, Luca Thiel, Emily de Hoys, Fabian Bock, Gilles Castro, Christopher Sachs, Oscar Hall, Zena Behetz, Yaroslav Zimashka, Vincent van Kerkhoff and Antoine Ontier, Sean Butcher, Robin Knutson, Luca Leistra now makes a welcome return to the BNL. Remember when that young man used to run with GKS, and now he's with Bouvin Power, if memory serves me correctly. Harley Horton from the UK, Artur Horsch, and making his European, if memory serves me correctly, Senior Rotax debut, Matthew Higgins in the 375. Teddy Clinton from Dan Holland Racing Stormbrewer, and Lars Zaynen. That is the 20 strong, but I've not seen a first sector or thereof from Stormbrewer or Lars Zaynen at the minute. So we've got 3 minutes and 34 seconds on the clock to go. Carl Klebort, could you please report to the stewards immediately? That's DD2 Masters driver Carl Klebort, 5:10 to the stewards immediately. So, Christopher Saxer from Denmark, initially leading by, in this sort of fading light, a 1 minute .703, and that is nearly 1 3/4 seconds quicker than Fabian Bock. Luca Thiel, Zimashka all the way up to 4th, ahead of Oscar Hall. Zaynen up into 6th. Stormbrewer has yet to surface. As I can just see some drivers just literally trying to go up the inside of others, and one of them is definitely on a flyer, and that is Fabian Bock. That was... where did that one come from? 55.831, and that puts him half a second over Luca Thiel, also from Germany. But then Luca Leistra now comes into the party. But then Sean Butcher retaliates. Teddy Clinton, Matthew Higgins, they are all trumping each other on the timesheets, with now Sean Butcher in the 3:57 from KR Sport. Randy is that is an absolute stormer of a lap from the Brit of 54.703, and that is around just over. So it's about 7/10 off of the pace that Lewis Gilbert had in the first session. Luca Leicester, 0.48 of a second adrift. As now, could we call that driver number 204, Junior Rotax 204, to the stewards immediately, please. Oscar Hall, Jules Castro gets to within 2/1000ths of a second of Butcher, but then Luca Leistra responds. Butcher is putting in purple lap times like it was absolutely nothing. A 21.8 in the first sector, a 16.1 in the second, a 16.3 in the third, and he's gone nearly a quarter of a second quicker than Luca Leistra. And this is Leistra's home turf, home circuit. Clinton just literally 11 thousandths off of Leistra. Higgins in fourth. Great showing from the youngster from based out of Wales. Vincent van Kerkhoffen rounds out the top 5 ahead of Jules Castro by about half a tenth. Oscar Hall has now Storm Broer, and Emily de Hoys definitely throws in her 2 cents. Euros, that's not dollars. Goes up to P4 as now Leistra responds and goes quicker than Butcher. They're trading fastest lap times as Higgins now goes P2 ahead of Leistra by 16 thousandths of a second. But Butcher is effectively less than 3 tenths off of so that is a pretty dynamite lap from Sean Butcher there, as there's 9 seconds on the clock remaining. So Butcher's within he's just under 0.183 of a second off of the time set, as Maurice Schuring goes 5th, Castro 10th, Thiel 9th, Oscar Hall 11th, Fabian Bock 13th, Lars Zaynendown in 16th, Behetz, Zimashka and Zaxa ran out the top, the 20 strong. Sean Butcher at the minute. Oh, that was very close, because Leistra couldn't respond, but Matthew Higgins from absolutely nowhere, the youngster now with Dan Holland Racing, has gone to within 17 thousandths on his final attempt off of Sean Butcher. A 54.199. So Sean Butcher takes the top spot in Group 2 for Senior Rotax. Matthew Higgins in second by 17 thousandths. Then it's a further 47 thousandths to Luca Leistra from Belgium. Teddy Clinton makes it 3 Brits in the top 4. A mere 15 thousandths off of Leistra. Maurice Schuring takes 5th. Emily de Hoys was just 2 1,000ths off of getting into the top 5. So Emily de Hoys 6th ahead of Vincent van Kerkhoffen. Arthur Horsch in 8th. 32 thousandths of a second adrift of van Kerkhoffen, who was 8 1,000ths off of de Hoys. You then look at Luca Thiel. 52 thousandths off of Arthur Horsch goes into 9th place. Jules Castro 33 thousandths ahead of Oscar Hall. Storm Broer managed to resurge to 12th at the end of it. Fabian Bock, Harley Horton, Robin Knutsson, Lars Zeynen, Antoine Ontier, Senne Behetz from Belgium, with Jaroslav Zimashka in 19th, and Christopher Zaxa rounding out the top 20. All covered by 1.214 seconds. And the coverage between the top 18 drivers, 0.823 seconds. And you couldn't even put an A4 piece of paper over the top 4 because they were separated by 79 thousandths from Sean Butcher to Teddy Clinton, from what was pole in that session to P4. And that was a rapid fire qualifying session to round out our coverage of timed qualifying for the 2020 BNL Karting Series kickoff here at Karting Genk, the home of champions. This is Alex Goldschmidt signing off for the evening. Have a very enjoyable one, whatever you're up to. But if you are drinking, please do not drive. Get someone to make sure you get home safely. We will see you tomorrow at around about 20 to 10 local time. That's 9:40 a.m. on the Camp Company GmbH YouTube channel, the official BNL Karting Series Facebook page, live in sound and vision, and also Rotax Radio, courtesy of our good audio partners at Downforce Radio. Have a good evening. See you tomorrow, where we find out who will be heading to Le Mans in late July. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Have a great night.